Curious about outspoken online characters facing real challenges? Keep watching as these delusional wokies get destroyed by men. Also, like and subscribe or you'll become a wokie.
Women in this country still make 77 cents on the dollar for what men make. So if women don't make less than men?
Actually, if you start looking at the numbers, Rachel, there are lots of reasons for that.
Wait.
Well,
Don't tell
first
me
of
the
all,
reasons are. Do women make less than men for doing the same?
Actually, no, because...
Wow.
Well, for example, men work an average of 44 hours a week. Women work 41 hours a week. Men go into professions like engineering, science, and math that earn more. Women want more flexible
Listen, this is
professions.
not a math is hard.
No. Yes, it is, actually.
Right now, women are making 77 cents on the dollar for what men are making.
But that's not true. If so,
let Rachel make her point.
Every greedy businessman in America would hire only women, save 25%, and be hugely profitable. And I love how passionate you are. I wish you were as right about what you're saying as you are passionate about it. I really do.
It's eye-opening to see how this discussion challenges common assumptions about the gender pay gap. The back and forth highlights just how complex the issue really is when we dig into factors like hours worked and career choices.
Getting called a straight white man.
We're good. And everything's really good. Everything's looking really good. We're in the lowest time of poverty in human history, and poverty is exponentially reducing every year. Trust me, we're in a very good time.
This is really interesting coming from a straight white man.
Well, okay, yes.
Like, everything's always been good for you. I'm a minority.
Yeah.
Nothing's good for me.
I'm Palestinian. I'm Arab.
You're Arab.
Yeah.
It is very simple. Minority doesn't hold you back, but it is attitude that holds people back. She got what she deserved.
You're just a bigot. You can go.
Oh, what makes me a bigot, ma'am? Or sir? I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go fuck yourself.
Oh, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're fucking misgendering me. Ladylike.
Oh, well, what are you exactly?
None of your fucking business. What are you?
But you said I misgendered you. If I don't know what you are, how can I not misgender you?
This exchange really shows how difficult it can be to have a productive conversation when name-calling takes over. The quick comeback on misgendering adds an unexpected twist, making it clear how easily people can get lost in contradictions during heated debates.
Can you identify as a black person?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal, you know?
If you believe it.
Sure.
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
Okay, I'm over it.
This conversation exposes the inconsistencies in some arguments surrounding identity. The simple question about transitioning race leaves the feminists struggling to respond, showing how tricky these debates can become when applying the same logic to different topics.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now, you can call yourself whatever you want.
Cis men don't menstruate, but trans men do menstruate.
No,
Same
they
as
don't.
non-binary people.
Only women.
Menstruating is not exclusive
Yes,
to
it
cis
is.
women. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So explain to me as to why my body menstruated at
If
some
your
point
chromosomes are XX and you're young, you menstruate. If you're XY, you don't.
Correct, but what about trans men and non-binary?
They're
We're
not
excluding
men.
a whole group of
They're
people
women
that
dressed
menstruate.
as men.
Well, what's a man to you? You define a man for me.
You have chromosomes that are X and Y. That's what a man is.
So why are we just looking at the science of this as an
The
example
science.
when we've learned sex and gender identity are they're completely different things.
They're not completely
They
different
are
things.
completely different.
Completely different words.
Sex is what you're born with, the sexual reproductive organs you have. Gender is what you identify with. They're completely
Well, I don't
different
accept that
things.
distinction. You have to argue for it. You're just giving a conclusion. You're just making it up.
The man on Dr. Phil didn't hold back, breaking down the biological facts in a straightforward way. His argument highlighted the difference between sex and gender, leaving the lady's claim about men menstruating hard to defend.
With facts.
I'm a transgender woman. My pronouns are she, her, and I will only accept those pronouns. You say you care about the students, but half of you are not sure what gender is, especially transgender. I know the lawyer said transsexual earlier. That's not the correct term. It's transgender. And in the workspace, I'm protected by that. Our students should be too. They're not over 18 and don't have a voice.
It's absolutely ridiculous that you guys are even considering letting bathrooms and locker rooms being co-ed. I don't care how they identify or whatever kind of delusion people live in, whatever kind of mental disease. Boys are boys and girls are girls. It's simple and basic. It's always been that way, and that's why we have separate bathrooms.
This man cut straight to the point, emphasizing the simplicity of biological differences between boys and girls. His straightforward statement stance challenges the idea of co-ed bathrooms, making it clear that he believes in keeping things as they've always been.
You keep defining abortion as the murder of babies, which biological fact is you would say most abortions are done before they are actually babies. It's still just a fetus. So my
question...
Do you
know what the word fetus means?
It's just a cluster, a
That's
zygote developing
into
means. A baby eventually.
The word fetus, it's a Latin word, and it just means offspring. That's all it means. It just means the next generation of a being. So, but that's what a baby is also. I mean, that's what you would call your adult child someday once he's grown, hopefully if he hasn't been murdered.
Can I ask my question?
Well, I'm just like to clarify this point. You would call your adult child your offspring too, but all of these terms that you might use, fetus, embryo, the one they love is zygote, which sounds like a Pokemon, but they use all these different terms, but it's all referring to the same being, and you were that being once. You, the person who's standing here right now.
Do any of us have a memory of being that being?
Oh, I mean, I don't have a memory of last Thursday, frankly. It's been a very busy week, but the lack of a memory doesn't mean that it's all right to murder me.
Well, anyways, my question is, you stress murdering babies a lot, but when it comes to murdering babies, kids, and everything in everyday shootings that keep happening, you say nothing. So I ask, why is it okay to murder babies when it's regulating women but not regulating guns?
No, I say quite a lot about that, actually. I think the crime is a terrible problem, and I think it's just awful that liberals have funded and intentionally installed liberal DAs who won't prosecute violent criminals. This has led to an increase in violent crime, and it's awful. I totally oppose that. But it's not me, and it's not my side that's funding that sort of thing. Now, you say, why wouldn't I want to regulate guns? Guns are very regulated in the United States as it is, and I've yet to hear one gun control proposal that would stop any of these shooting incidents that people talk about. People focus on the sensationalized ones from the news, a school shooting or a movie theater shooting. No proposed gun control legislation of the last 30 years would have stopped any of those. And the majority of the shootings are gang-related, and they're handgun shootings. And so I'm all for cracking down on those gangs and throwing them all in the can, but it's usually the liberals telling me that we have to abolish the police and go soft on crime, and they were just failed by society, and so we can't put them in prison, and we have to abolish the prisons too.
During a heated debate at UNC Greensboro, a student tried to challenge Michael Knowles on the topic of abortion, but quickly found herself outmatched. Knowles calmly dismantled her arguments, pointing out the flaws in her reasoning.
That's not me. I'm all for it. You want to get me a bill, you want to elect me to office and get a bill in front of me that will crack down on gang crime and these gangsters using handguns to kill kids, let's do it. I'd sign that in 2 seconds. But it's not up to me, unfortunately. It's up to the side that I suspect you would consider yourself to be on.
No, it's up to a side that you're often a part of. And even if it's not you specifically, it's your friends and the people you support that just continue to... it's just, you aren't considering both sides and how, saying one thing can just contradict the other thing.
How do you think I've done that?
By saying you're murdering babies, blah, 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 just over and over again, but just not mentioning any of the babies being murdered every single day in shootings that haven't even made it to major news outlets because they're so common.
No, well, that wouldn't be a contradiction or a hypocrisy or anything. I'm focusing on one particular issue called abortion, but I actually mentioned in the speech tonight that specifically on the issue of black people being murdered, 10,000 black people are murdered every year with guns and knives and hammers and the like, but 242,000 black people at the very least are murdered through abortion. So that would seem to be a more pressing issue, but I brought it up. I'm all for trying to reduce the murder rate. Unfortunately, liberal DAs are not allowing us to do that. So you're more than welcome to convince your fellow liberals to stop funding these people and to start arresting criminals. But my side of the political aisle has been arguing to arrest and keep those criminals locked up for a very long time. And so there's very little we can do if the other side of the aisle won't work with us.
As she struggled to back up her claims, the debate took an awkward turn, leaving her visibly frustrated. What started as an attempt to school Knowles completely backfired, showing how well prepared he was for the discussion.
How would you define a woman? Because you've asked other people up here to define how we would define a woman. How would you define a woman, Mr. Walsh?
An adult human female.
And how don't trans people, how doesn't a transgender woman fit that definition?
Because they're not
They're not female. They have. You said that you are a biological male, correct?
I said I'm transgender. I might be intersex for all we know. About almost as many people in the world are transgender as intersex, and a lot of people don't know.
Well, but that's a different conversation. Intersex, that's a genetic anomaly, that's a medical condition. So that's a completely different conversation. That's also that's not a third gender. That's a genetic anomaly that occurs within the sex binary of male and female. So what you're saying is that a quote-unquote trans woman is a female?
By the definitions I'm familiar with, yes.
So how would you define female?
Through my training in healthcare, there are several different categories for how we define sex. People bring up chromosomes. People also bring up hormone levels. People bring up all sorts of other categories. Lots of people don't fit neatly into a gender binary, even people we don't consider to be intersex. It's a complicated spectrum.
It's not complicated, but you also didn't define. So what is a woman? What is a female? What do these words mean?
It's complicated, and I know you're not going to like that answer, but that's because there are no simple answers in human biology.
Let me ask you a question.
You guys,
Can I ask you one last question?
hang on. Just let me finish. You guys like to bring up high school level biology classes a lot. I get that a lot, but people who go on to more complicated biology classes will talk about sex as a spectrum.
It's not.
During a heated debate, a transgender EMT questioned Walsh on his definition of a woman. Walsh replied by defining a woman as an adult human female, which led to a discussion about biological differences and sex.
It's not.
Well, biological researchers would disagree with you.
Well, then they're full of shit, the ones that would say that. There are male gametes and female gametes. Oh, I had one last question. I just had one quick. Can you come back for 1 second? Because this is an important question. You said you're an EMT.
Yes.
Okay, if you're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a penis, is having a medical emergency, and they say to you, "I think I'm having a miscarriage." Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
Look. No, but that's because some people don't have body parts. Doesn't mean they're not a woman.
Okay. Sounds like we've established there are some people who, in principle, can get pregnant, and there are some people who can't. So there's two categories, otherwise known as binary.
Lots of women can't get pregnant either.
Yeah, but they're still of the nature to get pregnant. The only
but
reason
they can't get pregnant.
Yes, but
truth matters, right?
The EMT argued that biology is more complicated, referencing various factors like chromosomes and hormone levels. However, Walsh stuck to his stance, asserting that truth and biological facts matter, concluding that sex is binary, with clear distinctions between men and women based on reproductive capabilities.
It does. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Truth matters, and they can't get pregnant. That's the truth. So how are they still women?
Because they are... For the same reason that I can rightly say that human beings have two legs, and if a person is born with only one leg, that doesn't call into question the statement that human beings have two legs. Okay, a person being born with one leg doesn't mean that now legs are on a spectrum, and we can't say anything at all about how many legs a person has. Who knows? They could be a centipede. You know, they could have 100 legs. No, we know human beings have two legs. If a human is born without two legs, something went wrong. They were supposed to have that second leg. Something went wrong. If you meet a person on the street who only has one leg, maybe they had an accident. Maybe they were in war. Maybe they were in a car accident. Maybe they had cancer. A leg was cut off. But you know that something went wrong because by their nature, they're supposed to have two legs.
Same thing for a woman. A woman by her nature can get pregnant. A man by his nature never can. So if you meet a woman of childbearing age, say she's 28 years old, and she can't get pregnant, you know automatically that something has gone wrong. And she can go to the doctor and find out what that thing is, even if they can't fix it. So that proves that women by their nature can get pregnant, because the simple fact that she can't shows you that there is something wrong. This is what is known as the exception that proves the rule. Whereas if a male with a penis can't get pregnant, no doctor on earth is going to run tests to see what's wrong with him. Because they already know it's that he's a male, and there's only male and female, those who can get pregnant and those who can't. So, that's it.
The EMT attempted to challenge Walsh by suggesting that biology is a spectrum, but Walsh pushed back, stating that these arguments ignore basic facts about male and female biology. In the end, Walsh emphasized that while there are medical anomalies, they don't change the fundamental truth of biological differences between the sexes. Click now to see more wokey videos.